Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Where the Fuck Have You Been? I know I've been gone for a while. I was busy. Welcome back to the regularly scheduled program podcast. I am your host, Adrian Jimenez, here with nobody. Yes, I know the last video I posted was with Ryan 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry. Yes, I know I've been gone for a minute, but um, just got a little busy. Couldn't really do anything, so uh, we're back with a video today. It's not gonna be a normal video. I just got to get something out to you guys. So I'm gonna do the NFL Power Rankings for midway through the season. So um, with the whole record picks for the record, offensive player, defensive player of the week, we'll resume that next week. So I just got to get something out. So this is my NFL Power Rankings, 32-1. Let's go. So I'm gonna go through, say the team, the reason I have them there, one thing I like about them, one thing I don't like about them, if they're gonna stay there the rest of the year, etc. So let's go. So at number 32, we have the Carolina Panthers. 1-8, really no explanation there. Um, Bryce Young's not having a great season, but I'm still gonna give him the benefit of the doubt because he's a rookie. There's no weapons around him besides Adam Thielen. Blah blah blah. So one thing I like about them is Bryce Young's getting used to the NFL's side now. He's had a few more good games. He had a bad game against the Colts. We had 3 picks, but that's rookie stuff. That's gonna happen. One thing I don't like about them is Bryce Young needs to turn those turnovers down, and they will have a good remainder of the season and then a good start of next season. So number 31 at 2-8, I have the New England Patriots. This was very iffy with the Patriots and another team. You could swap them. I wouldn't be mad at you, but I'm just gonna have the Patriots here just because of one, the record, two, their season's over. It's been done for a while. One thing I like about them is their defense is consistently good. I guess for the last few years, Bill Belichick has been. He can take a defense. We can take anybody on the defense and make them good. Plus is about them: Kyle Duggar, Christian Gonzalez. I know he's not playing, but still, he's still a plus. Matthew Judon, and that D line is pretty good. So, one thing bad about them is Mac Jones. I can't stand him. He's had a few good games. He had a good start of the season, but now he's bad. Their offensive play calling with Bill O'Brien, it's pretty questionable. Like that fake spike at the end of the London or the Germany game, that was I don't know what that was, but it's just fitting for their team. Hold on, let me scoot my chair up. All right. At 30, I had the Giants. This is another team you could swap. This was a team that you could swap with the Patriots. To be honest, I probably would swap them if I redid this, but the Giants are complete, like utter, like it's over. Like Daniel Jones out for the season. Um, Brian Daboll, he can only do so much with this team, and they play the. I mean, they kind of got the shit out of the stick at the last game because they played the Cowboys. So I don't know, but I feel like they wouldn't beat a lot of these teams on this list. To be honest, I don't think they would beat the Panthers. At 29, at the record of 3-7, I have the Chicago Bears. Oh, one thing I like about the Giants, though, is Saquon and how he's trying to keep this team alive. One thing I don't like about it is everything else. So, at number 29, I have the Chicago Bears at a 3-7 record. I have the Bears here because of Justin Fields. He's not playing. When he played, he had two not good games. He had great games. The Justin Fields that everybody thought was going to win MVP this year. I'm looking at you, Daniel. Um, yeah, this team has not met expectations at all. But I don't know. One thing I do like about them though is they have the number one pick, which is to the Panthers. They have a 1-5 right now. At 1, maybe they take Caleb Williams, maybe they take Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't know. We just have to see what Justin Fields does. One negative about them is their depleting offensive line. 28 made a big jump. I'm gonna go with the Carolina. Nope. Arizona Cardinals at a record of 2-8. Kyler's back. They just beat the Falcons. Kyler showed what we've missed for the last year. Um, he's still a great quarterback, and depending on how he plays for the rest of the season, will depend on if they get Caleb Williams or not. So, one positive about them, and I like Kyler Murray. He's back. He's playing at a good level again. One thing I don't like about them is they had a really bad start without Kyler, and maybe if Kyler brings this team to the playoffs, then that'll be surprising. So, at 27, I have the Green Bay Packers at 3-6. There's a lot of upside for this team. There's a lot of downside for this team. One of the downsides is Jordan Love. He started off so well, and now he's slowly going down. And it's pretty scary because we don't know what Green Bay is going to do with him next season. If they're going to stick with him, if they're going to trade him, whatever. One thing I do like about them is their front seven: Sean Gary, Campbell. What's his name? Gary Campbell, Preston Smith, Jair. He's not front seven still, but what's the other guy's name? Quay Walker. I like their front seven. Number 26, I have the Tennessee Titans at a record of 3-6. Titans, they have the firepower to do well. They had to stick with Tannehill for the first 6 games of the season. We got a Will Levis masterclass one game, and then he had a good game against the Steelers. And now they're 3-6. So, one positive is I think they have found their quarterback. They still have Malik Willis if they want, but I think they have found their quarterback for the next few years. They just got to build around him. One negative is they had to use Tannehill. They waited a little too long to bring in one of these young quarterbacks. 25, I have the Atlanta Falcons at a record of 4-6. A lot of people have this team winning the division. I can't talk because I had the Panthers winning their division. Nope. I don't think the Falcons are going to make the playoffs. They started off very well. And now we have this whole thing with Bijan and Arthur Smith, that whole thing with like Arthur Smith not caring about your fantasy team. I don't care about my fantasy. Okay, but you care about winning, and you don't want to play your 7th overall pick. Come on, fam. So one positive I would say is they have Bijan, they have Kyle Pitts, they have freaking Tyler Heineke, who's a serviceable quarterback. He's not good, but still. Their defense, they have Jesse Bates, Jeff Okuda, what's his face, AJ Terrell. So they have the pieces. It's just Arthur Smith won't win games. So that's why they're far down the list. 25, 24. I'm gonna go with the LA Rams at a record of 3-6. I think this Rams team can be good. Obviously, Stafford, he's been injured. They've had injuries to a few of their players, like Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, even Puka Nacua. But I think this team can be can play well. They started off very well, but when Stafford comes back and if they can get their offensive rolling, then I feel like they'll be fine. They'll be about halfway through this, or they'll be about in the middle. At 23, I have the Washington Commanders at 4-6. Obviously, they traded away Chase Young and Montez Sweat, but they still got Deron Payne and Kendall Fuller and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So, offensively, I think this team can be a top 10 offense. When Sam Howell has those great games, he has those great games. You know what I mean? Like he's leading the league in passing yards right now. Congrats to him. They need to get Terry McLaurin more involved. They need to distribute the ball throughout the entire offense instead of just shoving it down their running backs' freaking throats. So one thing I would like about this team is they have potential. They they can have a top 10 offense in the league. The one thing I don't like about them is Ron Rivera isn't great anymore. I don't really love him coaching this team, so he's on the hot seat for me. Number 22 at a record of 4-5. I have the New York Jets. Defensively, I think this team is amazing. They, or like Robert Saleh said, they embarrassed some of the best quarterbacks in the league. Sure, good job. You embarrassed them, but some of those games you didn't win, so you can't really say anything. Um, so with this team defensively, that's the one thing I like about them is defensively. They think they're, I think, the perfect head coach. I think they're perfect. Offensive, or one thing I don't like them is their offense. Zach Wilson. Aaron Rodgers is going to come back soon, so we won't have to watch Zach Wilson anymore. He did a great job at the beginning keeping this team alive, and now I feel like he's a liability. So that's the one thing I don't like about the Jets. It's the same thing that happened last year. If they had a quarterback like a good quarterback last year, they could have went very far in the playoffs. But they didn't even make the playoffs because they didn't have a quarterback. So this is the same cycle of need a quarterback. He got hurt. We had to sit with Zach Wilson for a little bit. Now he's back. You know what I mean? So I feel like eventually they'll jump up to 14-13 range if Rodgers can bring him back. At 21, I have the Las Vegas Raiders at a record of 5-5. Their new head coach, I forget his name, but I like him for this team. He is very Raiders like. Like you think of Raider Nation, you think of violent people. You know what I mean? So he seems like a very violent person, or not violent, a very intimidating person, and I feel like that's perfect for Raider Nation. Um, Devontae Adams, he hasn't had great games, but he's still happy with this team. Um, their entire offensive, their entire team chemistry changed once he came into the picture. So I feel like them hiring him as their new head coach, it should last a while because he brought this team back. It's only been 2 games, but they won 2 games. That's that's one less game that they won before he came, and I feel like that makes a difference. At 20, I have the Denver Broncos at a record of 4-5. They jumped up very, very high for us. Just like people doing power rankings in general, I feel like they jumped up a lot. Their record of 4-5. They just beat the Buffalo Bills, who. So the one thing I do like about this team is their defense. My God, they were locking down the Bills. Like I told somebody at work the other day, I was watching this game at work. I told somebody, if I was the Bills defensive coordinator, I would be pissed at my offense. We forced 3-4 turnovers, and you guys can't make it to the red zone. Come on. Like, this is a Bills team that, like, everybody was like, Josh Allen MVP, Stephon Diggs wide receiver. Like, the highest I've seen was him going 3, like wide receiver 3 at most. At least I would say like wide receiver 5 or 6. So like this offense is explosive, and they shut them down. A lot of the Broncos drives started in Buffalo territory, and they went 3 and out like 3 of those times. So if I was the or the Broncos defensive coordinator, I would be pissed. You got to tell Sean Payton, you got to tell Russell Wilson to wake up because they need to do something. Like, this Broncos defense isn't going to hold them off forever. So offensively, they need to do something. Cortland Sutton, catch of the year, lock it down. Number 19, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at a record of 4-5. Who do they play? I don't remember. But I feel like one thing I like about this team is Baker can be that guy. I feel like they're going to stick with him next year. He can be that guy. Mike Evans is still going to go for 1,000. He's waking up a little bit. They just need more offensive help. One thing I don't like about this team is their secondary is getting cooked pretty hard and is not helping the team at all. So, number 18, I have the New Orleans Saints at a record of 5-5. That Derek Carr injury is going to hurt a little bit. But to be honest, I think I would rather watch Jameis Winston play football. Jameis Winston playing football is the most entertaining thing they've ever had since microwavable popcorn. You know what I mean? Like Jameis Winston football is real football. That's what I want to see every time I turn the TV on. Other than that, there's not a lot wrong with this team. They just can't win games with Derek Carr doing stupid things. I mean, they're Michael Thomas. What the? What is wrong with that guy? He's so stupid. Oh, okay. Number 17, I have the Indianapolis Colts at a record of 5-5. I'm surprised this team is 5-5. I think I had them winning like maybe 5 games, and they could win 10. Um, I think their coach Frank Wright has done a lot with this team since leaving Carolina. He's doing a lot better with this team. JT has finally come back to his form. He's number one wide receiver one. I mean, Zach Moss is a great backup. One thing I like about this team is how well it coached it is, and how this team is winning games. You know what I mean? Like they didn't start off well, but they're playing pretty good now. One thing I don't like about this team is the slow start that they got off with. So they could jump up the ranks a little bit. Number 16, I have the Los Angeles Chargers at a record of 4-5. This team should be over 500 pretty easily. They should be in the top 10. But okay, one thing I like about this team, I want to say this, is the Keenan Allen, Justin Herbert connection. It's looking like we've expected it to look for the last few years. Um, One thing I don't like about this team, the only thing I really don't like about this team is Brandon Staley. I think Brandon Staley trash. He needs to be fired. He's not. This team could be so much better. How are they under 500? It makes no sense, bro. I hate Brandon Staley. Fire him. Get him out of Los Angeles. Number 15, at a record of 6-4, which is really surprising. I have the Minnesota Vikings. Joshua Dobbs is the second coming of Jesus, apparently, in Minnesota. So they are 2-0 with him. They beat the Falcons, and who did they beat last week? Who did they play last week? I don't remember, but they won. Oh, it was the Saints. They won. Joshua Dobbs, his ability to extend the plays and run, I think is going to help this team because Kirk wasn't really a mobile quarterback, and Joshua Dobbs is. So I feel like that's going to help him a little bit. JJ coming back is probably going to help this team too because his ability to help the quarterback while he's extending the plays is one of his good traits. So, positive about this team. I feel like they are on the up. They found their quarterback to replace Kirk. I don't know for the rest of for long term, but right now I feel like they got a good replacement for Kirk. They lucked out getting Joshua Dobbs. And then one negative though is the quarterback situation at the end of the year. I don't know how that's going to work out. Because Kirk Cousins is a free agent. Me personally, I think Kirk Cousins should leave. Number 14, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers at a record of 6-3. I have no idea how this team is 6-3. How is this team 6-3? Literally, what? Mike Tomlin is one of the greatest head coaches of all time. Oh no, I dropped my bike. Sorry, guys. I don't know how this team is 6-3. Mike Tomlin is the greatest coach, one of the greatest coaches of all time. Kenny Pickett, I don't know how he's doing it. I don't know. It's not even him. It's freaking. And they have Matt Canada as their offensive coordinator. How is this team 6-3? What the? One positive about this team is their defense. One negative about this team is their offensive coordinator. Okay? Number 13, I have the Seattle Seahawks at 6-3. Also, I feel like I would have this team a lot higher, but there have been some games where they have either gotten super outplayed or they should have won and they didn't. I mean, 3 losses, whatever, cool, but they could be 7-2, maybe 8-1, or 9-0. I don't know, but they should have won some games. They threw some away. They should be a little bit higher. I have them lower because I can't trust them in those big situations because they haven't proven themselves yet. So one positive about this team I like is Their offense, I like Kenneth Walker, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, all that stuff. Everybody knows about them. They've been great. Tyler Lockett had a great game last week. One thing I don't like about them is they're not winning in those must-win situations. So, number 12, I have the Cincinnati Bengals at a record of 5-4. They just lost to the Houston Texans. They started off slow, but now they've woken up a little bit. Not a little bit, a lot of bit. This offense is completely different than what we saw originally. Positive about this team, Joe Burrow is playing like a beast. He had 2 throws in that game. Both of them were touchdowns, I think. One of them to Hayden Hurst and one of them to Jamar Chase. They were beautiful throws. Good shit, Joe. But you're losing to the Texans. You're losing at the beginning of the year. Bumps it down a little bit. Speaking of the devil, number 11, I have the Houston Texans at 5-4. CJ Stroud, that boy, he is him. I don't know. This team has completely changed around from last year. CJ Stroud is a top 10 quarterback in the league. People say he's in the conversation for MVP. I don't hate that take. I don't necessarily agree with it. If he was in my top 5 MVP, he would be 5, maybe 4. I don't think people say he's front runner. I don't think so. Don't get me wrong. He's having a fantastic year, but MVP, calm down. One thing I like about this team, they smashed it with their picks. Will Anderson and CJ Stroud. One thing I don't like about this team is I was gonna say their defense, but actually their defense is playing pretty well. So I'll still use that as my negative, but it's not a big negative. All right, now we're in the top 10. Number 10, I have the Buffalo Bills at a record of 5-5. You could switch the Bills and the Texans, and I wouldn't hate it, but I think the Bills at 10 is the lowest I'll go. Yes, they lost to the Broncos. They are 5-5, like they're at 500. They were favorites to win this division, the AFC East at the beginning of the year. Now they're 2 games behind Miami. So they fired offensive coordinator Kellen Moore. No, it's not Kellen Moore. What's his name? Ken Dorsey. Yeah, fire him. Freaking idiots. One thing I do like about this team is their run stop. Their front 7 is unbelievable. AJ Epinesa, Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, Ed Oliver. All of them, they're killing it. And then obviously the negative I don't like about this team is the turnover problem. Josh Allen leading the league in picks. Buffalo Bills leading the league in turnovers. That's the problem. Number 9, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars at 6-3. Them losing the 49ers the way they did brought them down a lot. I was gonna put them at 10, but I put them at 9 just to feel like it was the highest I'd go. But a lot of things need to change for this team. Calvin Ridley needs to wake the F up. My God. And then Trevor Lawrence, he got injured a little bit earlier in the year, but still, one positive about this team, Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson. I like that connection. Doug Peterson is one of the ballsiest coaches in the league. I love the way he coaches. One negative is Calvin Ridley. He just needs to start catching the ball. They need to start targeting him more too. So that's the thing. Number 8, I have the Cleveland Browns at 6-3. One positive about this team is their defense. One of the best in the league. One of the best coached defenses in the league. Everything about their defense really is kind of perfect. They just beat the Ravens, which is very good for them. But then the negatives about this team is Deshaun Watson is going into surgery today. It's going to be season ending. They don't have a quarterback. Sucks. So that could be detrimental. Number 7, I have the Dallas Cowboys at 6-3. One positive about this team is obviously their defense, but I feel like the biggest positive is Dak Prescott playing it the way he is right now. Dak Prescott, the last few games have cooked teams. Even the Eagles, they didn't win, but I feel like Dak, that wasn't his fault. Dak had a great game, and if he keeps playing like that, you could win the division. I mean, obviously you're 2 games behind, but you could win the division and you can make a long playoff run. The only thing negative about this is Dak stepping up, but all their offensive weapons aren't. Like, I mean, CeeDee Lamb, besides CeeDee Lamb, everybody else needs to step up. Like, Michael Gallup, Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks had a few good games the last few years. Tony goddamn Pollard, what is going on? He hasn't had a good game in a minute. So he needs to wake up too. They need to establish that run. With that offensive line, they should have a great run. They should have a good run game. At number 6, I have the Miami Dolphins at 6-3. We're coming off our bye. We lost in Kansas City. People make a big deal about our losses. Me personally, I don't think our losses are the biggest deal. Like, look at the teams we lost to: the Eagles, the Chiefs, and one game against the Bills. Cool. We lost to the 2 teams that went to the Super Bowl last year, and a division opponent at their stadium. Cool. Cool. If we win those games, maybe we're higher on this list. But those were games that a lot of people had us losing, and those were tough games. It's not like if we would have lost to like the Panthers, the Giants, the Patriots, the who else? Who else we played? The Chargers. Those kind of teams, then that makes sense. Like, oh, then you guys can call us trash. Like, we put 70 on the Broncos and the Bills lost. Whatever. Positive about this team is our defense is stepping up very well. It's playing very well. One negative about this team is offensive mistakes. We had that Tyreek Hill drop touchdown against Philly. We had Tua losing the fumble on 4th down against KC. We just need to fix those offensive mistakes. We'll be a great playoff team. Number 5, I have the San Francisco 49ers at a record of 6-3. They dropped 3 straight games, but they didn't have Debo, they didn't have Trent, they didn't have some of their pieces. They didn't have Chase Young yet. So Chase Young's first game as a 49er, he had a sack with Nick Bosa. So I don't know who in the league allowed that to happen, but they should be investigated because that feels like tampering. 49ers positive about them is their defense. You know what I mean? Like, this might be one of the best. This might be arguably the best defense in the league. Well, like the most. It's definitely the most well-rounded, but like the whole league, I feel like it could be the 49ers. And then the only negative I would say is they just need everybody healthy. Everybody is healthy now, but they need to stay healthy. Number 4, I have the Baltimore Ravens. That's a record of 7-3. Lamar Jackson, top 5 MVP candidate. Mark Andrews, top 3 tight end in the league. Zay Flowers, offensive rookie of the year finalist candidate. And then defensively, great. So everything about this team I like. They dropped the game against the Browns because the Browns are good. And then who else did they lose to? I don't remember. But I think this Ravens team can make a long run in the playoffs. Number 3, I have the Detroit Lions at 7-2. One thing I like about this team, one of the best or funnest offenses I've ever seen play football. Jared Goff, MVP candidate. Amon-Ra St. Brown, top 10 receiver. Gibbs, great running back. Montgomery, great backup. Sam Laporta, one of the best tight ends in the league. Offensive line, fantastic. Like, this offense is amazing. Defensively, they need to step up a little bit. Yeah, they have 2 losses, which is not a lot, but I feel like they could have won a few more games. So, Lions, it's great to see the Lions in top 3. This is a great team, and I feel like they could end this year with a 2 or 3 seed winning the NFC North. I feel like they could win the NFC North pretty easily. At number 2, I have the Kansas City Chiefs at a record of 7-2. They're coming off their bye after winning against Miami. They play the Eagles this week, which is going to be a great game. One positive about this team is I would say their defense is playing like one of the best we've ever seen for the Chiefs in the Mahomes era. It definitely is one of the best. Their secondary is playing great. Chris Jones and their offensive front seven is playing amazing. The only negative I would really say is when their Chiefs offense is slowing down, nobody's really there to step up. So like Travis Kelce against us, terrible. Had a trash game. Yeah, they had 21 points, but the first one was a screenplay, and then the second touchdown was a check down to McCann. Or it wasn't a check down. It was more of like a shallow crosser, and then the third touchdown was a defensive touchdown. So when Travis isn't there, I feel like more people need to step up, like Rice, McKinnon, Pacheco, MVS, stuff like that. So they need to step up a little bit. Number one, everybody knows who it is. It's the Philadelphia Eagles at a record of 8-1. One, they have the best record in the league. Two, offensively and defensively, everything about them is good. Who was their only loss to? Who did they lose to? They lost to the Jets. Yeah. So positive about this team is it's well coached. Um, Everything about their they have superstars everywhere on their like every position. Basically has a superstar. The only thing negative about them is sometimes they can get shut down, and they don't really have a game plan to come back to it. So that's the only really negative I have about this team. Everything else about that though, the team's great. So that is it. 32-1. If y'all have any disagreements with me, let me know. I'll make sure to keep them in mind. So thank y'all for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, share it to your mom, share it to your best friend, your crush. Send it to somebody famous on Instagram. Send it to a stranger you don't know. Tell them about it on the streets. So appreciate y'all for watching. I'm Agent Jimenez, back with with more videos next week. We will continue our normal posting streak. Besides that, see ya.